Hey y'all, Taryn here, Horse and Hearth. How are you? It's Tuesday, which means it's launch day, and I can officially tell you what I've been counting down to for the last few weeks. So if you have followed my channels at all, I have kind of got into the who, what, when, where, and how of getting into horses and houses. And if you will allow me, I would love to tell you a little bit about the why behind this project, and then I promise I will actually get to the announcement. But if you recall, I grew up around Boston and I was horse obsessed from like day one. However, surprisingly enough, there aren't many horses around Boston. So I know all too well the reality of what life is like when you have to drive an hour or 2 hours to go ride a horse and pursue that passion that I have dedicated my entire life to. And I also know how incredible it is when I moved out here to the Front Range and I could keep my horses 15 minutes outside of downtown Denver. Like, that still blows my mind. However, in the 10 years that I have been building a career out here selling horse properties, the landscape has changed a lot on the Front Range. And I used to think that this was kind of a localized issue. You know, we're kind of being squeezed out into these pockets of horse properties, and we experienced massive growth out here. So I used to think that it was just a Front Range thing. And as I built this career and connected with more and more land and ranch professionals across the country, as well as horse industry professionals and just your average horse owner even, the conversation continually came back to this theme of loss of land and losing our horse properties, whether it was inflation or development or even the aging population, like a lifestyle shift. So the average age of a farmer today is 60 to 65 years old. And the average age of many of my sellers is also that aging demographic. A ranch property is a lot to handle as you age. And you might have heard about the great wealth transfer from that generation. But what is not being talked about, and I think is a massive concern, is this great land transfer. So over the next 2 decades, there is an estimated 300 to 400 million acres of farm and ranch land, not like urban land, not subdivision stuff that's already developed, but this is farm and ranch large acreage parcels that are set to transfer hands. And that's outside of family lines. So that is above and beyond what will be passed down generationally. It's over 40% of farm and ranch land is up for grabs in the next 20 years. And what I have deemed an industry at risk with all of the conversations we've had, or I've had in the last few years, I think the bigger picture is the land at risk. Because quite honestly, we don't have the lifestyle without the land. I don't know another lifestyle hobby industry that's more intimately connected to the land than like equestrian, cattle ranching, hunting, fishing, even like the legacy estates, and for damn sure farmland. Without the land, that doesn't exist. So what can we do, right? I am a solution-oriented person. I am an action taker, and I didn't have the answer here. I kept having these conversations, and it bothered me at a very deep level, but I didn't know what to do until about 2 years ago. I was invited to the table to a discussion about developing a land and ranch division at eXp Realty. And yes, that is what I've been counting down to. That is what I have been working aggressively on for the last few months. But we are officially live and officially launching the land and ranch division with eXp Realty on a national level. And guys, I think this is the game changer that I was looking for, right? The way that we solve these problems is we come together as a community. We get out of our little silos of like equestrian disciplines. We're all equestrians. Well, equestrian, cattle ranching, farmers, we're all ag professionals. And if we don't start coming together on a large scale and having these conversations that matter, we continue to be land at risk, industry at risk, at this point, profession at risk, right? I built a career selling these horse properties on the Front Range. If those horse properties cease to exist at a scale that I can continue creating a career at, what am I doing? However, as realtors, I also think we have a really unique position on almost the front lines of this land conversation. Who else has the ability to facilitate the transfer of land stewardship from one owner to the next in a way that respects the land, in a way that values the passion, in a way that actually helps our sellers and buyers at a really high level? So I'm asking you today to join the conversation, to sit down at the table, to have these conversations in a way that we can make a difference, right? Because if we are able to list these properties in a way that does them justice by knowing all of the nuances and the details of these properties that are so nuanced, by knowing all of the vocabulary and the correct terminology to use, by knowing all of the websites and the areas to list these properties in. And the other thing is, guys, if you're in this space, you likely live the lifestyle and very likely have an organic community of buyers and sellers who will move these properties. If we continue to stay in these silos and not have this conversation on a macro level, we continue to allow the big corporations, big investors, big developers to come in and scoop up properties off market without ever bringing them to market and giving the communities a chance to continue the traditions that are so intimately connected to that land. You know, the conversation right now is very prominent in terms of off-market properties. And does it really benefit your seller when you're selling stuff off market? The answer is no, it doesn't. The highest and best way to sell a property is to put it on an open marketplace and see what the market will pay for it. You know, selling these properties off market is only doing our clients and our industry a disservice. Also, as much as the conversation of real estate is very often hyper-local, I very strongly believe that when it comes to these land and ranch properties, it is a much larger marketplace. So we need to come together at a national level, because more and more I'm seeing buyers and sellers of horse properties are coming from out of state, are coming from across the country. And so if we can get these listings into the hands of a tight-knit community that's national level, I truly believe that we can serve our sellers and our listings at such a high degree, that we can serve this industry at a much higher degree, and that we can do better long-term for the lifestyle, the people, and the properties that we are all so passionate about, you know? And so I am so excited. I'm so excited for the start of this division, for the official launch. I've been creating a certification course. So if this is something that you're interested in, but you're not quite well versed in, send me a message, because we've got you. We've got your back. Don't do what I did and wait 3 or 4 years to feel like you're qualified enough to sell them. Let's start the conversation now. Let's get you qualified on the front end so that you can start helping in this industry and start helping this conversation. And we also have an incredible charter membership that is geared more to those of you who are already in this space, that we've developed really powerful partnerships across the industry. It's something you definitely want to take a look at, because like Tony said today, if you are not, you're being financially irresponsible because of the value that we've been able to build and create and now present to you as realtors across the country in the land and ranch space. And I think that we have such an incredible opportunity in front of us. One, the need is massive, with 300 to 400 million acres of ranch land set to transfer hands in the next 20 years. The opportunity is also massive to come together right now as professionals in this space, create something that is a game changer that hasn't been seen before, and powered by the #1 brokerage in the country in agent count and transaction count. Oh, by the way, eXp Realty is also one of the only brokerages that I can say truly does listen to what their agents need and puts it out there. They said, hey, Tony, find out what these agents need and go build it. Give them everything they want. And my gosh, they did it, right? And we're just getting started. The ball is rolling. The framework has been laid. Now it's up to us as industry professionals, as land and ranch professionals, to come together and continue building and truly make this something special, make this something powerful, make this something unique that does have the ability to change the game. So that's what I've been working on as part of the Agent Advisory Council and leadership team for eXp Realty's new land and ranch division. I am thrilled. I am so excited. Let's go. I'll see you there.